Hey everybody, this is Grow It Build It, and I'm going to show you how to build these farmhouse style stain board signs. My wife was looking at buying one of these on someone's Etsy page, and they wanted like $100 for it, and my jaw dropped. I'm like, wow. Um, I have probably less than 20, well, probably if you don't count stain, I probably have less than $10 in material. But what I figured I would do is I'd show you how to do this using very cheap hand tools that I'm showing you there. And a lot of people, when they build stuff on YouTube or show you, they run straight to the miter saw, to the thickness planer, to the brad nailer. All this stuff adds up in cost, and I'm going to show you how to do this for next to nothing. Just cheap hand tools and some sweat equity. I mean, I definitely have less than $50 of tools there that you're seeing. But you really just need a miter box and back saw, a hammer and nails, some sandpaper and stain, and a foam paintbrush. You need a 1x2 for the frame, 1x3s for the narrow slats, and 1x4 for the wide slats. So if you're just going to build one of these signs, you really just need one 8-foot board of each, which the big box stores will cut in half for you, which you need if you drive a Honda Civic with child seats like I do. But anyways, sand your boards down to get the rough finish off. You can probably just get away with like 80 grit or something. Do it in a well ventilated area. As you can see, my garage doors are open, and for staining, it's just wipe on, wipe off. Not too complicated. Just take care to dispose of your rags or paper towels in a good way, because they can self-ignite if you don't follow the instructions on the can. But stain all your boards. I think I use 6 different types of stain, and actually if you head over to our website at growitbuildit.com, you can see our detailed articles that list out everything we used and how much each of them costs. I wanted to do this using hand tools because a lot of times people can get in. I mean, they can get intimidated if they see someone using a big table saw or a $400 miter saw or something crazy. You really only need this $10 miter box and hand saw to, build this thing, and a hammer and nails, and some patience. But here, like in a miter box like this, you can actually screw it directly to your workbench or another board and clamp that, whatever you need. Since this is all light stuff, I'm just going to hold it down with my hands. Now I did block one board there, so I used that as a gauge to keep everything the same thickness, and put some pencil lines to put my miter box in the right spot. But I'm just going through here cutting. And a little tip, when you are cutting, you shouldn't feel any binding at all. It should be a smooth action. You should let the saw teeth do the work. You don't need to push down. If you start feeling force, it means that your wood is moved, you're binding, or you might be cutting into your miter box, which I'm ashamed to say I did do a couple times, but that's okay. Miter box is fine, and so are the boards. Anyways, though, you really just need to go through and cut all this stuff, and try to hold everything as steady as you can. If you do have some pieces that are a little short or a little long, you can take your sandpaper and just, maybe take them down a little bit to make them fit right. But so I think I said I used 6 cans of stain on this, and it'll take you a little bit of time, but I mean, I still couldn't believe that people were selling these things for $100. Now I know people's time isn't free, but well, makes me think maybe I should get into that game. But anyways, I'm going to be giving a couple of these signs away to friends, I think. So I ended up gluing mine a little bit, but you really don't need to do that. I've built a couple of these things, similar design before, and I just used nails. I didn't use any glue at all, really. Except when I did miter stuff, I did put a little glue on the miter spots just to make sure there was nothing showing. But anyways, when you go to do your miter corners, just take care that you're getting the length right, and be very careful. Try not to taper your cut at all. If you do, it'll probably be okay, but I go into the detail on this over at growitbuildit.com. But then, I kind of play around with my fit up on how it's going to be. If you're buying cheap construction lumber, which I most certainly did, your boards are going to be bowed a little bit, they're cupped a little bit, arced a little bit, and so you may have to, get a little customized on your frame pieces, your 1x2 45-degree cuts. But it's not a big deal, and you're just trying to make this thing kind of fall together on its own. Anyways, it's a good little project, and if you've never done stuff like this before or just thinking about it, this is a good starter project because it's cheap investment. It'll give you some experience, which is the best teacher of all. But after you've played around with everything and done a little rough fit up and make sure it looks good, it's time to move on more to the final assembly. Here I'm just using a couple of my clamps just to make sure I'm happy with it, but basically I just had plywood laid across a couple of sawhorses, and I put a straight backer on there just so I could have something firm to push up against. Now I am gluing my stuff. You don't need to do this. You know, these boards are just going to be hanging on a wall. They're not subjected to force. They're not jostled around. And as I said, I have a couple of these that have been hanging in my house for 1 or 2 years. They're perfectly fine with no glue, just nails. But once you're satisfied with your fit up, I do glue it up with some leftover wood glue I had from a table I had made. And one tip with this is you want to make sure that when you glue stuff, sometimes the glue might squeeze out a bit. And since this isn't a load-bearing item, so to speak, it's just hanging on a wall, I just put the glue on the very bottom end of the wood grain, like you can see right there. So if it does squeeze out, it's going to squeeze out the back, and nobody can see that. Half of woodworking is just making sure that no one can see your mistakes, quote unquote. At least I've heard people say that. But anyways, I just applied this, not too much, just enough to kind of give it a little bit of, keep it a little firm. And anyways, I'll clamp it up and let it dry overnight, and then I'm just going to, and actually while it's clamped up and still wet, I actually tack in nails at the bottom edge of the frame, and then I'll let it sit for 12 hours or so, and I'll flip it around and put nails in the other end. But you know, this is a good starter project for somebody. It looks kind of nice. I'm pleased with the results. And then if you're finding this information useful, or like our article we have over there at our website, you know, give us a like, give us a subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. It helps us out quite a bit. But anyways, this is after it's been clamped, but all you got to do is tack nails in. They're finished nails, they're small, you're just doing little taps. If you own a brad nailer, go ahead and use it by all means, but if you don't, you just need a $5 hammer and a $1.50 worth of nails. For the painting and stenciling, I didn't have video of this, my wife did it, but you just buy a stencil, tape it up, use a foam brush with milk paint is what we did, or you could use chalk, but you apply it very lightly so you don't have the paintbrush sopping wet, you have it fairly just a little damp. But anyways, again, thank you for watching. I hope this inspired you for some ideas. And again, this is extremely cheap tools. If you don't own any tools at all, you know, you can go out and spend $50 and have all of these tools and leftover money for lunch, and probably come back with enough materials to build one of these if you have the stain. But again, if you're using cheap construction lumber, pre-stain conditioner is worth the money because it will get blotchy if you don't do it. And yeah, I mean, go have fun and start learning. Here's a couple of pictures of how it looks in our home. Fits pretty nice, and I'm pretty pleased with the results. So anyways, thank you guys very much, and have a good day.